Hi, everyone. I'm Bari Lyman, and today we're doing a really special interview with a success story. Love doing these. So I want to introduce Jen, and Jen has been married now for 6 years. And so Jen had, just like every single one of you who's watching this interview, challenges in love. Like me, I was challenged for so many years. And what's beautiful is that all of your challenges can be transcended. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter how many years you've struggled. None of that matters. All that matters is if you're committed to making the changes necessary to find your soulmate. So welcome, Jen. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
This has been a while in coming. Jen's been married 6 years now. That's amazing. Time totally flies, huh?
Yes, it's been an adventure.
I'm sure. So when Jen and I met, you were living on the Upper West Side, right?
I lived on the Upper West Side. And so my grandmother bought me a present. My friend Marissa was telling me about your class. And I told my grandmother, I said, I think this is it. I think this is going to help me. I know it, Grandma. I know it. And Jen's like, I said to my grandmother, I said, I know this is the one. I know this program is going to help. And my grandma's like, well, you do a lot of programs, Jen. Like, why is this one different? I'm like, Grandma, I know it. So she paid for it. And then I just started working at it. And it just moved me in every way, emotionally, spiritually.
So why don't we start at the beginning? What was your dating life for you that you did programs and that you wanted to make a change? Do you remember what was going on for you at that time?
I think I was just like going to events. I wasn't being very conscious or thoughtful about, like, I didn't have a plan. And I think that was the big key in life now too. Like, it's all about having a plan. And it was just very haphazard. And also I was like a little lonely and depressed, like, because I was 40 years old and I was going to like freeze. I remember my eggs or something. And the doctor says, Jennifer, just meet someone and giddy up. And basically like the next week I went to your program and I was like, okay, I'm ready. But it was like, I dated men who were very charismatic, who was like, I was drawn to them like in a very, I don't know, physical, sexual way. And it didn't really help me emotionally. Like, it was like they were giving me breadcrumbs and I just wanted more breadcrumbs and more breadcrumbs. And I thought they would give me like the loaf of bread. It never happened.
That's right.
So it was, I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
Right. And I also didn't trust myself.
Right. But see, you're bringing up such an important point about Jen was 40. She wanted to have a baby. She wanted to move on. She wanted to have a family. She didn't trust herself. And she was on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, which is, like a Mecca. There are a lot of people there. But if you don't have a plan and you don't know how to approach it, and we're taking crumbs and we're dating, I remember feeling just like you, and so many of us here felt that way. That charismatic kind of guy, that charisma, right? It's all chemical attraction. It's devastating, right? It's awful.
Yes, it's painful.
It's awful. Very painful. What's great about you is that even though you did other things, you realized that this resonated with you. And Marisa Mimone, she got married also through the program and had another child. And so came into the program and we did this journey, and you went through all the pieces and you discovered why you were I know for me, I was addicted. I was a love junkie and totally addicted. That chemical attraction. Oh my God, it made my heart flutter. I had to have it. It was like, I gotta have it. Right. And then we changed all that, right? Changed all of it. You had tons of breakthroughs with, oh my God, remember, with boundaries.
Mm-hmm. And being dependent. Like I was like, I thought I was a child a lot of times. Like I couldn't be my grown-up self. And I remember sometimes I wanted to go out and you're like, Jennifer, you have to take a step back and do the work. Like on Friday night, not Friday night, Saturday nights, I would really just do the work, like instead of going out. So
I remember you were very dedicated, very committed. You came to all the calls, you asked all the questions, you were very committed. And then once all that got worked out, then you became an empowered dater, remember?
yes,
Then you started going out,
right.
right? And how did it feel then when you went into dating camp and you started going out with these new distinctions about yourself?
Well, I think before that, like I was dating myself for 3 months, and that was what hit home for me, because I would go to these concerts by myself and men would be attracted to me like there was no tomorrow. Like I wore the same clothes, had the same makeup on, but my energy was so different. I was like, this is interesting. And anywhere I went, I would meet someone. It didn't matter. And I also met men who were into me. And then I remember talking to you about it and you were like, no, if you're not like, I remember there's 3 things that I needed to attraction. What were the other 2?
Personality, emotional needs, how you feel with the person,
Right.
right?
And you said like, just no, like you have to cut it. If it's not the right one, if they don't have those 3 things, and you just move on. And I think I didn't waste any time in your program, nothing, not even a day.
Right.
Because after the 3-month mark, I was dating, I went on a date with one guy who was very charismatic.
Oh yeah.
And it was 2 dates, and he didn't want to have kids. And then I also went that night, also my husband, Eric, called, and I went on a date with him. And I remember you saying like, I don't know, for some reason I didn't want to go on a date with both of them on the same day. But I remember like how hard it was for me to say no to that charismatic guy who didn't want to have kids. It was so hard. And I was like fighting you about it. Like, in a way that was like, you're right. And I know it.
I remember.
And I said goodbye. And then with Eric, it was very slow, but it was also fun. It was slow and we were getting to know each other, and there was no like chemistry in the first like 5 dates, like chemistry, but like, it was just like getting to know you. And it was just like very easy and calm. There wasn't like this, when is he going to call me? No. Like, yeah, there's no craziness, but that's what I was addicted to.
Totally. I think so many of us are addicted to it because we're addicted to it because it reminds us, it's so familiar of our abandonment issues. And it's like, it like really stings about our value. And we like, it's an addiction. I'll never forget when we had the conversation when you were into the guy, because Jen is a nursery school teacher, right?
Well, right now I'm kindergarten, but I was teaching 2nd grade teach everything. Yeah.
She's a teacher. So there are teachers here. Diana's a teacher. Many of the clients are teachers. So that means she loves kids, right? You love kids.
Right. I never realized that. Yeah.
Right? So she loves kids. And here's a guy who's chemical. It's all chemical attraction. And we had that conversation. She like wanted to kind of pursue this. And then there was Eric, her husband. And I'll never forget, we talked about him. He was calm. He brought you flowers.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted
me.
He what?
He pursued me.
Pursued her. I remember you went running in Central Park one day, right? You would go running.
Yeah, all the time. We go for walks on the beach, on the boardwalk, like the Riverside Park.
Yeah.
And like we would talk about really like very deep things. So I remember that.
And I remember you were like, I got to keep seeing the other one. So I sat her down one day and I said, with Eric, are you attracted? And she said, yes. I said, do you like his personality? How do you feel when you're with him? And she said, good. I feel really, really good with him. Remember your emotional needs?
Yeah, I remember that conversation. Mm-hmm.
Right? And then I said, excuse me, does he want kids? Is he religiously with you? Is he at your level? Vision, values, and goals, remember?
Mhm.
And she said, yeah, all those things line up. Yeah, he pursues me, we go running. I'm like, so new, what's the problem? What's the problem? And she said,
No, you know what I think? Yeah, I think what's so, yeah, sorry.
no, no, please, please.
No, I was saying like, it's so good that you didn't want me just to date any guy to get married. I think
Oh,
that's so key because like, you know, we trust you. Like I trusted you. And like, I didn't want you to steer me in the wrong way because, oh, I met a guy and I have to get married now because like it's Barry Lyman's class. But no, half the time you were like, no, Jen, like, look at this guy. No. And it was really good for me. So I appreciate, thank you.
no, you're so welcome. Because we're not doing this program just to get married. I mean,
Right.
any of us could get married, but we don't
Yeah.
want to get divorced. So we had that conversation. You realized yes, and so what happened next when you realized yes?
Okay. So then I think that then we went, I remember our fourth date. It was like he took me to Abigail's and it was so beautiful. It was like we were just sitting there and there was like this violin player and I asked him a question and I said, and this question I'm telling you works. And I said, picture yourself and you're 90 or you have everything you want in your life. You have your family, you have like everything is, you're just sitting on your porch. What would yourself sitting on your porch when you're like when you're 90 years old, what would you tell yourself at this moment right now? I forgot what he said, but I remember what I said to myself. Like I said to myself, like, this is the one. And actually I said I love you, but in my head, but I didn't tell him that. But the fact that I was able to see myself as a like 100-year-old woman, like having everything I want in my life, just sitting on my porch bench, just like looking up at the stars, like just envisioning it, like that's what, like it was like getting really connected with myself, and I just was like, yep, this is it.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah, I recommend it.
Wow.
And in any situation, yeah. So
What I'm hearing is that you were really authentic. You
yeah,
asked,
and I was very authentic, and I was extremely vulnerable, like to a point where I was scared out of my mind, because I remember telling him one day, we were walking on the Riverside Park, and I said to him, I said, I'm falling, and I need to know that you'll catch me. Like not fall, like I'm really into you, and he said, wow, this girl's different. Like she's different. And I think because we had to be so vulnerable, like sharing so much about ourselves, that's the only way marriage works. Like that's the only way dating works. Like all this other stuff, it's so doesn't matter. Like in order power, like relationships really come from vulnerability, because at the end of the day, marriage takes a heck of a lot more work.
it does.
It's
It does. But when you're with that right person that will show up for you, and you can be so vulnerable. When you ask him that question, will you show up for me? And
right.
you and he said he would, that's what you need in a marriage. Like through
It's
the
something from, he quoted something from like the sitter. And then so I spoke to a rabbi. I'm like, wait, how come he said this? I just said that like I'm into him, or I'm like, I want to be with him. He's like, Jennifer, what he said in the sitter was the most powerful thing he could say.
right.
Like,
Oh, so beautiful. So it is. So the idea of being in a marriage is really always every day choosing and re-choosing and re-choosing.
yeah,
And this person feels like this is really challenging, but you remember, go back to those moments, and you know that you can go to that person and they're going to show up for you, or
right.
even if it's really hard for them to show up for you, or hard to understand what you're going through. You're a unit, you're a family. So that was beautiful. So you had that moment, you knew you were super vulnerable. And then what
Right.
happened next? Tell us the story
So,
of,
we also had a rabbi that we both knew because we actually met at the rabbi's class like a year ago, and I think he brought me into the rabbi, and he basically was telling him, like the rabbi said, "So you love each other, right?" And like we both like gushed, and we're like, and we gushed, and then I think he told me he loved me, and I was just like, you know what I said, and I'm going to be very vulnerable right now in this on this call. I said, are you saying you love me because my sister rented a Mercedes? So it's like, are you telling me you love me because my sister's driving a Mercedes right now? Because I told him my sister was driving a Mercedes like in California, and he thought it was so funny because that's where my head is like, what do you mean you love me? Like you love me because my sister because of this? There's no way you can love me, and it was just so hard to like be loved. I think that's what it is. Like, oh, like and I was very vulnerable, and he saw all my quirks. Anytime I thought something like, why'd you say this? How come you said this? And he was there the whole time. He didn't like fluster.
see, guys, that's what it's about. And I think everyone who gets married and finds their soulmate through this program really experiences this because we think we have to be so perfect or this facade, but your soulmate loves you just the way you are, with your quirks, with your challenges, because they have them too. And we love
Right.
them for their quirks and all of that. So it's so true.
But
It's
when you're dating, though, it's all cute, by the way. So when
yes.
you get married, though, that's when you have to work your quirks out.
That's
True. Because he's like, Jennifer, like, you need to, like he gets upset if I'm like being insecure like this, not upset, but he's like, he knows like he knows me, like I don't have to go there,
right.
so like he checks me.
Right. That's right. Exactly. My husband too. And I do that with him also. That's part of it. Because you have this familiarity, but they're not making you wrong. They're just wanting to support you in who you really are. So that's true. So that's a beautiful thing. Okay, so then you get married. How did
Wait, before we get married, we were dating, and then okay, we say we love each other, and then he said, Jen, I want to fly you to San Diego. And I was like, I think I called you,
Yes, you did.
and I was like, I think you said it, I think he's gonna propose to you or something. Either you said it or my grandmother said it, but you said something like this is a, and I didn't know. And this is okay. So then we go to San Diego and we pick out a ring,
Aw.
and he proposes. This was at 2 months, 2.5 months after our first date.
Yep. 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 But and you knew.
Yeah, and he proposed, like he sat me on this tire swing, like this tree swing, and he sang and did a guitar like medley thing, like 5 songs, which are all our wedding songs. And I just cried the entire time because I just was just I just couldn't believe this was happening to me. I just couldn't believe it. And
Oh.
and then this is your part now. So we sat down. He's like, so when do you want to get married? Like he was. I'm like, first I said December, and it was already May. He's like, that's too long. That's too far away. So then I remember the date that I did for your class, and I said, how is August 24th? And I'll tell you about the August 17th thing. So August 24th, he says, perfect. I'm like, are you serious? Like I wrote that down. He's like, August 24th, great. So I went to go check the halls out, but they didn't have August 24th available. They had August 17th. I was like, August 17th is good? And we're both like, yeah. So we got married August 17th.
Oh. And we were there. Mike and I were there.
Yeah, I remember. I remember you were there for my like the meal before that with
Yes.
all my girlfriends, and I just looked at you and I cried again.
Yes.
I think it
I
was the happiest day of my life being married, like being a bride. It was the happiest.
oh, because you wanted it so much.
I waited. I waited. I waited.
I know, 40. But the thing is that you did the work. You showed up and
Right.
You knew how you wanted to feel, and then the feeling in real life is even better than what you imagine it to be, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I knew, and also I think I met you in November, and
Yeah.
that year was, I mean, that was ridiculous. That's because I worked so hard in your class. I even brought like the stuff that we worked on to my therapist. I'm like, we got to do this.
I remember. I totally remember. Yeah, therapists love this.
I
Oh,
know.
love it. Yeah, because things happen quickly. They're like, "How this happen to you?" You know, it's true. It's really amazing. And I remember at your wedding, Rebbitzin Young Rice was there. She's like a lumen. She was, may she rest in peace, like a luminary in the Jewish world, and it
Right.
was special. And there
Yeah.
were
She
other.
told me he has kind eyes. She gave me his so I was like, okay, good.
Yeah, your wedding was so beautiful.
I know everyone keeps talking about it still.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah. Okay, so now let's fast forward. You got married, and now tell us about your family and your life now. It's
Okay.
years.
So now, okay, so we've been married for 6 years. We moved 6 times, by the way. Um, we moved to Miami,
And you,
and then that I was pregnant, and we moved back because the Zika virus hit. So I had like an 8-month-old, and I was pregnant. We moved back to Manhattan, and we did 3 Airbnbs, moved to Bergenfield, and now Teaneck. So that was like an adventure in itself. But right now, thank God, like we're very, thank God, like this whole COVID has been a very like a very pressure time because we're both home. We have kids who are like quarantined because someone in their class had it but didn't have it. So we have to find things that make us laugh. Like so we play categories at night. Like that's the only thing I look forward to during the whole day is playing categories with my husband at night. Like date nights we can't really do anymore. But right now, like thank God, I'm so grateful. I think it's being so grateful, like, and never forgetting how grateful I am. Because once I start taking things for granted, then I'm back to where I was. And I know myself. I know myself. I know I had to go back to teaching. Like, I know when I'm not communicating with my husband, like, I have to communicate. Like, I have to check in with myself. I have to, because I don't want just like a blah marriage. Like I have to keep working on it.
that's right. And though, so what I'm hearing Jen say, what we're all hearing is that we bring our own shtick, right? We bring our own fears, we bring our own history into the marriage. So this dating yourself and this healthy presence of mind and parenting yourself, this will never end, never end. It means that we have to continue to grow and elevate all the time, because those challenges, they keep on coming. They keep coming. That's what life is. That's the human condition. It's not like you get married and it's happily ever after. It's get married and continue to expand.
Mm-hmm.
My marriage is the same way. My husband and I were always growing, because he could revert back to being a 5-year-old. Like, I'm a loser. He could do it. And when he does it, if I react to that, holy shit.
Uh-huh.
It's like, what happens? Aren't we transformed people? You forget that.
Right.
So we have to take a step back. Like you said, go back to gratitude, go back to who we are to each other, go right back to that. It's like water. If you don't water of your flowers and your plants, they die.
Right.
So it's the same thing, right?
This is why I like your program too, because it's all about community. Like I can't just be married in a vacuum.
No.
Like I need support. I need my friends. I need to go for a walk with my friends. I need to like go on my Peloton. I don't know, just like some type of community, because you bring your best when you're like feeling good about yourself.
Exactly.
And when your husband's upset or depressed or whatever, like you can't fix it. You
No.
just can't.
No.
And I had to learn that. and once I just am like taking care of myself and enjoying myself, like he gets out of it. I don't have to get him out. But those are things that no one like told me.
Right, right. But because you have tools and you have training behind you, you have that wisdom that we can't fix other people. That's not your job, right? It's our jobs to show up whole, whole. And then you could give him the space to be himself, to go through what he's going through and not, God forbid, make him wrong.
Mm.
God forbid we make another person wrong. You know, I love you. I see something is going on. I'm here if you want to talk about it, you know, but then you have to make that offer, but let them be men, let them be adults and work through it.
Right.
Right. And then, but I love what you said. We have to be whole, good with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we bring to the table. Whereas in the past, holy shit, we're bringing our, we're bringing our brokenness.
Mm-hmm.
Love me, fix me, save me. Like daddy issues, mommy issues. Many of us in the program had either fathers that were not present or mothers who were extremely critical. And we can't bring that brokenness because that's not happening now. And the truth is there's nothing wrong with us. There's nothing wrong with you. Right? Right?
And
so,
also children see, like my kids, they see when Eric and I are like, ah, they know it. They sense it. And when Eric and I are like this, like my son said, no, I love you and daddy the same. He used to always say that he loves me more. But now he's like, I love you, mommy, and I love you, daddy, the same now. And I was like, oh, this is interesting because it's the way we react or we respond to each other is the way they're gonna see us.
yes, totally. So that's the lesson. So imagine in unconscious childhoods when our parents are in unconscious marriages or divorce, and we're going through all these feelings and questions for 18 years and feel so lost and not lost and broken, and there's something wrong with me or I'm not enough. So that's a very good point. So you're seeing it because you're awake
Yes.
and conscious.
Yeah, no, it was a big like eye opener and it was a good one. Like I'm not afraid of them. Like sometimes I'm afraid like, oh, I don't want Albie to, I don't know. You always want to protect your kids, but sometimes you just have to like even let go and let your husband be, let go and let your children be, and let go and let like me be. But it's hard letting go.
Right. But it's the key. It's the key
Yeah.
to a happy letting go. Right.
And letting go of like, and don't hold grudges, even though I do.
No, that's poison. That's toxic, right?
Yeah, I'm working on that. There's so many things I'm still working on, but like, I'm getting better. I remember you said it's a process, so I don't judge myself for it.
Beautiful. So that's key too. So you're bringing out so many important points is that we don't have to be perfect to get married. Mm-mm. We don't have to be like this transformation God. It's not going to happen. We just have to take ownership and responsibility for loving ourselves, parenting ourselves, that's vulnerability, loving ourselves as we are. And that whole ability to be conscious is knowing how we can elevate ourselves. We're not looking to be saved. That's the power. That's the power. So beautiful. So how old are your kids?
I have a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old, a 4.5 and a 3.5. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And thank God natural at 42 and 43.
I love it.
I know. I'm very, I don't know. I'm so grateful.
So beautiful. So beautiful. And I don't know, what do you see? What are you excited about for the future in your marriage, in your life?
I'm excited to like do what I love. Like, I think I found teaching, and I'm excited for my husband to find what he loves. Like, I'm excited. And then I'm excited for us to share what we love and then to share it with our kids and to see like that we love our life. Like, I'm excited to like, I don't know, go on camping trips and just be a family. Like, I just want to be a family. Nothing like so extravagant. I just want us to just like love each other and be kind and just, I don't know, just help each other grow. I mean, I also want this COVID thing to end.
Yeah, right. For sure. Right.
I
But
mean, stress in general in dating. I don't know how stressful it is dating now with COVID. I think that's another layer. But a lot of people are getting married faster, by the way. I noticed there's so many people getting married more now than ever.
right.
So I
Right.
think it's because they want to, because they don't want to be alone. They want to start their life, their family.
That's right. And you know what? Dating in COVID is amazing too, because the people who really want love, they stand out. They want it. They're highly committed, right? And then you take a meet to marry person who knows themselves, they have the tools, they're vulnerable. Then, yes, there's nothing to wait for. Just like you kind of knew at that dinner, you sense that he was different.
Right.
And then it just happened. And in 2.5 months, you're
Yeah.
engaged. You just know when you know.
And you teach your children that. Like I teach my children how to be vulnerable. They even know that word. It's so important to express, for men especially, like not, they have to say like how they feel, that they have to share their vulnerability. Like I teach them when they were 2, because that's when they need to know these things. I never was taught that.
Oh my God, who of us was taught that? No. And lastly, what do you want to tell other singles who are out there struggling in patterns, maybe had trauma or didn't have trauma, but they're dating and it's not working? What do you want to tell them about like stepping out and getting the help that they need? What do you want them to know?
That they're exactly where they the fact that they showed up and they're showing up for themselves right now, they're exactly where they are, like need to be. Like this is it. Like I remember walking down the street and I just remember how like everything was so vivid because I was showing up for myself. And it's just keep showing up for yourself and love yourself. Like give yourself hugs. Like if you get upset or you get depressed about it, like it's you or the support group that will get you through that hump and keep moving because I promise you, like if you really like feel in your heart and know and just know, like if you just know how good you are and how much like you love yourself, it will show and everyone will want to be around you. Believe me, you don't want to be around someone if you're married or you're not married, like who's upset or depressed or whatever. You want to be able to date yourself. I think dating yourself is the biggest key. Like if you see yourself as a 10, so will everyone else. If you see yourself as a 5, so will everyone else. So that's the key. And have fun, like really have fun with it. Like have fun with your life, like light, fun. I remember you used to say that, light, fun. But it's true because everyone has stresses in life. So
That's right. And how does your grandma feel about the investment that she made for you?
she's a great grandmother now. She's 98 years old.
Oh,
And she's in heaven. She laughs. She's like, I can't believe this, Jennifer. I can't believe it actually happened to you. I can't believe you had children. This is so, she would laugh and we would both laugh.